Books for Africa is an organization that collects donated books and sends them to children in Africa. We get books from corporations, individuals, schools, and we collect them here. We have volunteers come in and sort them into categories and age levels to be able to be sent over to Africa. Tom Worth, the founder, had gone to Uganda to visit someone that he had met in the United States, and they brought him to a library there, knowing that he was a publisher. And they showed him this beautiful library that had been built with about 40 very, very old books in it, and that was the only access they had to books in that entire area of Jinja, Uganda. So he came back and organized a group of publishers in Minnesota and started collecting books and sending them over in, I believe they called them barrels at the time, and then they sent their first shipment about a year later in 1989. They started in 88, and I believe the first shipment went in early 1989, and then word of mouth is huge in Africa, so all of a sudden he started getting letters saying, please send us books, and that's where it all started. Not having books allows you to not have access to information in rural areas. War, strife, anything can be going on in the area and you're not going to know about it. There's no access to books. Everything's done by memorization. I think the easiest way to tell you how important books are is to have you take away books from a 5-year-old and tell them they can't have any more, and you'll see how upset they are. We're bombarded by magazines, newspapers, books, everywhere we're looking, media, news, and we don't realize what it's like not to have that access to information. Even when it comes to school and memorization and learning, not only is the teacher memorizing what they're telling you, the children are now memorizing what they're learning. There's just a loss, and then they don't have access to learn more if they're interested in something that they did learn. There was actually a study. We had graduate students at the University of Minnesota help us out at the business program, and they did research along all of the seaports, and they added Atlanta because, you know, it's one of the largest cities just in from the seaport. Atlanta got chosen because there is such a volunteerism here. I don't think I've ever been in a city that quite is this into volunteering, and we have so many volunteers. There are days we have to say, nope, we can't take any more, we're full. We have too many. It's a wonderful problem to have, but there's so much volunteering here, and the cost wasn't that much more expensive to ship from here over a port city, and we just did not think we'd get the volunteerism that we got here. Maybe 400,000. We have a number of large companies that donate books, but individuals, schools, organizations, all donate books to us. We do get some publisher donations also from publishers that are getting rid of their overstock. They're sorted into general age levels, specific categories, but general age levels. Grades 1 through 4 science, post-secondary business and economics. So they're sorted into kind of specific categories, but then a little bit of a range in age level of like 4 years. Mostly we have English because that is what we get access to in the United States. We do also get some French books from Canada and French immersion schools here in the United States. People will contact Books for Africa. They say they want books in their area. They're able to either get the shipping donated by a shipper or an organization or something along those lines, or they're able to have funders provide the shipping costs. Books for Africa is a nonprofit. We don't have access to that. Once they select the books, which age level, which categories of books that they want, then the volunteers come in and sort. We have a shipment behind us here that I believe is going to Nigeria on Monday. We then pull exactly from our warehouse what they need. They go into a 40-foot sea container or a 20-foot sea container, depending on how many books that they want. And then they go on ocean freight over to Africa, and the consignees handle most of the port and the clearance over in Africa, getting the documentation of the port, getting the books out of the port. We do ship inland also, but port cities where there's port authorities. And then usually we work with either an NGO or we work with a school district, and they then distribute the books on the ground or have the schools come in and select the books from where they have selection, and they bring them back to their schools or their community centers, and then finally they're on a shelf where students and individuals can go and look at them. It depends on where a shipment is going. Inland can get very expensive quickly if the roads are not in good condition. But a port city for a 40-foot container is about $9,800. We send to everywhere though. Some shipments in Angola can be very remote area, could be $25,000 to send the shipment. But as long as there's good roads from a port, ocean port city, usually it's not terribly more expensive than the port. We have recently sent to Egypt, Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, Uganda, Malawi, Ghana, the Gambia, and Nigeria. That's just been since June 1. We work with companies not only for book donations, but we work with companies for volunteers that are coming in to do a corporate day at Books for Africa. They also fundraise to send shipments. We've had different organizations actually send shipments to, they visited or they have businesses in parts of Africa, and they send a container to them to distribute to that area. Our biggest needs are specific books, I would say. Obviously funding, all nonprofits, it's always funding, but as specific books, we're having difficulty getting science books right now and post-secondary books. So science books at all age levels and post-secondary.